Good morning. This is Dwayne, and today I'd like to talk about the amazing diminished seventh chords and the secret door that leads to everywhere. Now, I know that sounds mysterious, kind of like Alice in Wonderland, but it's absolutely true. The diminished seventh chords are an amazing kind of chord, and I'll show you why right now. There's only 3 of them. A diminished seventh chord is like that. If you start on C, that would be a diminished seventh chord, okay? It's diminished, the triad is diminished, and that's a double flatted seventh. That's what defines a diminished seventh chord. It looks like a 6, but technically, in music theory, it's called a double flatted seventh, okay? That's one diminished seventh chord. Now go up a half a step to C sharp, E, G, and flat, and that's another diminished seventh chord. Now go up another half step, D, F, A flat, and B, and that's another diminished seventh chord. Okay, so we have 3 diminished seventh chords so far. Now let's go up another half step. What do you have? You have C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat. Does that ring a bell? Yeah, that was our first chord, wasn't it? It's just upside down. In other words, that's the same chord, it's just turned upside down. You've heard that kind of thing in scary situations, maybe in old movies. It creates a sense of anxiety, okay? So there's only 3 diminished chords. That one, which you can turn upside down any way you want, and that one, which you can turn upside down again till the cows come home, okay? So only 3 diminished seventh chords. And so that's all you need to learn about diminished seventh chords. They're members of one another and they turn upside down. Now let's define what a diminished seventh chord is. They're a stack of minor thirds. Here's a major third. If I go up 3 notes up the C scale, that's a major third. 1, 2, 3, right? That's a minor third. Here's a fifth. Here's a diminished fifth. You come down a half step, okay? And here's a seventh, there's a flatted seventh, and there's a double flatted seventh, okay? So, it's a stack of thirds, isn't it? Stack of minor thirds. It's a minor third from there to there, a minor third from there to there, and a minor third from there to there. And if you go on up, it's a minor third up to there. So it's a stack of minor thirds. And what's true of that chord is also true of that chord. It's a stack of minor thirds. And the next chord is a stack of minor thirds. D up to F, F up to A flat up to C flat. Okay? So it's remember that diminished seventh chords are a stack of minor thirds, okay? Now, that's kind of amazing enough, but did you know that just by changing one note, lowering one note in any diminished seventh chord leads you to a dominant seventh? That's why I call it a doorway to everywhere. If I lower the bottom note of that chord to B, from C to B, what do I have? I've got B seventh. And that puts me right into the key of E. One of the principles of transposing, the main principle of transposing, is to find this 5/7 key of 5/7 chord of the new key. So if I'm playing in the key of C and I play C diminished and then I move the bottom note down 1, that's B, which is the 5/7 chord in the key of E. So it goes right to E. Okay? Let's come back to the diminished seventh chord. We lowered the bottom note. Now let's lower this note. What do we have? Right, D7th. So if you want to get to the key of G from the key of C, you're playing along in the key of C, you go to the diminished seventh chord and then lower that middle note to D. And that's D7th, and then you're home to G, okay? Now let's come to this note, lower it a half step from F sharp or G flat to F, I'll say. What do we have now? F7th. So if we want to get the key of B flat, we just do that. Okay, one more. The top note is B double flat. If we lower it a half step, it comes to A flat. And that is A flat 7th, isn't it? So if we want to get to D flat, that's how we do it. Okay? Now the same thing is true of the next chord, therefore, isn't it? If I lower D a half step, I get to D flat. And that's D flat 7th, and that leads to the key of G flat. Or, if you want to call it C sharp, that leads to F sharp, inharmonic notes, inharmonic keys. Okay, let's lower this note a half step. What do we have now? We got E7th, don't we? Whenever you see two notes together, in this situation it's always true, but it's usually true too. When you see two notes together, you're probably dealing with the root in the seventh. Not always, but that's you can make a good guess, and that's the case. So E7th leads to A. So if you want to get to the key of A, then you do that. Okay, let's take this note and lower it a half step. What's that? That's G7th, and that leads right back to C, doesn't it? So, okay, and the last note is C flat, and we lower it to B flat. What chord's that? B flat 7th, and that'll take us right to E flat. Okay, so you can see that there's doorways to everywhere. There's doorways to every single of the 12 major keys, or 12 minor keys for that matter, by just lowering one of the notes of the diminished 7th chord. Now, what happens if you take the two middle notes and move this one up and that one down? You got a major 7th. That's F major 7th. So kind of feel, okay? What if you lower both the top note and the bottom note? That's a 6th chord. It turns into B6. Okay? What if you go up with your little finger and down with your thumb? What's that? I can barely reach it, but that's a B major 7th. Okay? So you can see, I want you to experiment around by moving move one note first and see what happens. Then move any two notes and see what happens. And you'll find literally that it is a secret doorway to everywhere. So that's it for today. Thanks for being with me. If you haven't yet come over and signed up for our free newsletter or Play Piano, be sure and do that. We got a lot of good free stuff over there. So come on over and sign up and don't miss it. Thanks. Bye-bye for now.